Fever dub!
Bow, bow, bow.
Dub in the chat.
A W.
The Indiana Fever just achieved something that seemed impossible 10 months ago. They're now 4 games above, 500 for the first time since 2015. And they did it without Caitlin Clark on the floor. But that's not the shocking part. While everyone expected them to struggle without their superstar, they just broke 4 franchise records in a single game against Paige Bueckers and the Dallas Wings. But here's what nobody saw coming. 2 players who weren't on the roster at the season's start are now the heroes of this amazing tale. So were those 4 records broken? Here's a hint. They involved Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and newcomers Ari McDonald and Chloe BBY. If you support the Fever, then smash that like button and comment, "I've got the Fever." Let's go.
The 100 win over Phoenix. Stephanie White called that a big win. They were outstanding. Mitchell,
Come on.
the former Dallas wing, Natasha Howard.
Nobody was looking for this. We think Kelsey Mitchell's going to shoot, but that is the play to make right there. Nobody in the passing lane.
Everyone expected the Fever to crumble without Caitlin Clark, but something magical happened instead. Picture this scene on August 8 ST. Clark sits on the sideline for her 6th straight game with that groin injury she picked up on July 15 th. No timetable for her return. The Dallas Wings book American Airlines Arena, home of the Mavericks, with Paige Bueckers leading the charge, hungry for a win after dropping 8 of their last 10 games. The pressure was real. Could the Fever keep their hot streak alive without their superstar running the show?
Wins in a row, a season high. Just how have you been able to find that rhythm over this stretch?
I think it's been about, we've had some practices, and I think practicing has definitely tuned us up, fine-tuning as far as the details. We knew before All-Star that, the second half of the season is always about people making adjustments, people finding ways to stop what we have to do. And I think that on us, we try to do a good job of staying locked in at practices and shoot-arounds and all that kind of stuff to be where we need to be.
The opening tip revealed everything you needed to know about this Fever team's mindset. They came out swinging like they had something to prove. No hesitation, no waiting around for someone else to take control. This wasn't going to be a survival game. This was going to be a statement. Kelsey Mitchell grabbed the reins immediately. She attacked the rim with purpose, knocked down conference shots, and set the tone that screamed, "We're not backing down." Mitchell finished with 30 points on 9 of 19 shooting, leading the team while carrying the load that Clark usually handles. She led the league in scoring throughout the entire month of July.
14 20-point games this season in her 8th year. She also has a couple of 30s. And Mitchell trades the 3.
Now have a little bit of an advantage in the paint, and they need to keep doing that.
That time, Dejanay went for the steal, and Mitchell kept it away from her. Would not have taken that call so gently, shall we say. Kalani Brown was her buffer last year. Is Mitchell all the way to the hole?
So you stick together, communicate on defense. This is a high-octane offensive team.
Beautiful pass. Mitchell was so sure of that. After she passed it, she started running down the other end.
But Paige Bueckers wasn't about to roll over. The rookie sensation fired back with 22 points on 7 of 14 shooting, adding 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. She was the only Wings player to reach double digits, showing why she's considered scorer in her first WNBA season. This created the battle that had fans on the edge of their seats. Here's where it gets interesting, though. The free throw numbers told a controversial story. Dallas shot 25 free throws compared to Indiana's 13. That's almost double. Fans immediately jumped on social media questioning the officiating and accusing Bueckers of flopping to draw fouls. Even Wings head coach Chris Clance expressed frustration with the officiating crew after the game.
Game clock almost the same. Carrington, the spin move. No foul called.
The real disaster came from DJ Jane Carrington. The reigning most improved player had an absolute nightmare performance. Just 4 points with 5 turnovers. In the final minute of the third quarter, she dribbled and launched an errant shot that had fans shaking their heads. Her struggles became a major factor in Dallas falling apart. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read 88-78 in favor of Indiana. The Fever had just proved their way more than Caitlin Clark plus 4 players trying to keep up. They showed they could win games they were supposed to win, just like Coach Stephanie White acknowledged after the victory.
You know, finding ways to get wins, and that's going on some scoring bursts, that's being able to rely on multiple players, getting stops when needed, making adjustments and continuing to grow. I mean, this is a group that's been resilient all season long, and I think that we have such quality depth that we can rely on one another, and rely on one another in certain moments.
2 players who weren't even on the roster 10 months ago just became the Fever's secret weapons. Meet Ari McDonald and Chloe BBY, 2 pickups that nobody saw coming. These weren't headline signings. They weren't supposed to change everything. They were depth moves, insurance policies for a team trying to stay competitive.
Stick to your defensive principles. This is an Indiana team that has very nimble on the offensive end.
McDonald from the outside rattles another 3. That's her 3rd of the ball.
Madonna's story reads like something out of a movie script. She was unsigned at the start of the season. No team wanted her services. Then the Fever called on June 25th with contract offer after being with the team for a couple of weeks prior on a hardship contract. Fast forward to this game against Dallas, and she's dropping 15 points with 6 assists while running the offense like she's been there all year. This came right after her performance against Phoenix the game before, where she showed she could handle bigger moments.
She should have looked up and said, "Oh, aren't you an all-star?"
Pass.
And Cunningham completes it.
That's what Indiana does better than anybody in the WNBA.
Here's what made McDonald special that night. Her point guard instincts kicked in immediately. She knew when to push the piece, when to slow things down, and how to get teammates involved. Coach White noticed this right away, saying McDonald has a point guard mentality and understanding of her impact on the game. Kelsey Mitchell called her a blessing in disguise for how she stepped up when the team needed leadership most.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with Ari is that she's dependable, and she's dependable not always for production, but she understands the impact that she can make in the game, and she understands how to do it. You know, starting it on the defensive end, pushing pace, dictating tempo, getting to the rim, creating shots for her teammates. You know, all of those things, and she's got an incredible awareness, and so she understands when she's hot. And she understands when somebody else is hot and how to get them the ball. But I've just been really proud to see her confidence grow in our system and the ownership that she's taking in being that leader on the floor for us.
Then there's Chloe BBY, who made an immediate statement. She knocked down 2 crucial in limited minutes off the bench. Those weren't lucky shots. They were perfectly timed momentum builders that gave the Fever breathing room. Bibi's ability to stretch the floor created space for other players to operate. Coach White praised her quick integration into the system, saying she understood how to make plays and showed readiness to shoot when opportunities came.
I'd say Boston, the rebound to Mitchell. McDonald splits the D. Bibby, this is where she's good. She can extend the defense, and she's done it.
For that nice jumper.
Bueckers again, another double-digit game, 6 in the quarter. Here's Bibby, launches, buries the 3.
Bibby, don't do him like that.
But here's where it gets really interesting. After just 2 games with the team, BBY earned herself a contract. The Fever saw enough in those limited minutes to commit to her for the remainder of the year. She addressed a specific need that White identified, noting that BBY is a stretch forward and she's a shooter, and we haven't had that.
Chloe Bibby to a rest of season contract today. Just what impressed you about her on that 7-day and those 2 games she played in?
Well, number one, just the way that she fit in right away. She gives us a different look from that forward position with her ability to stretch the floor. And particularly in 2 games where we really needed to create space for AB to go to work inside, she was able to do that for us. She came in and she learned the system right away. It just was such an easy transition, and she's produced.
These 2 unknowns became the difference makers in the Fever's biggest winning record since 2015. McDonald provided the point guard leadership they desperately needed. BBY gave them the floor spacing that opened up the entire offense. Coach White's system clicked because these players understood their roles immediately and executed without hesitation. The Fever weren't just surviving without Clark anymore. They were thriving because players like McDonald and BBY stepped into roles they weren't originally signed to fill. But they weren't the only ones making history that night. While everyone watched the scoreboard, the Fever were quietly breaking records that hadn't been touched in franchise history. 4 different achievements happened in one night. These weren't just good performances. These were moments that rewrote what this team could accomplish. Here's the first one that shocked everyone. Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard became the first WNBA teammates ever to record at least the points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists and 2 steals in the same game. Think about that for a second. In the entire history of the WNBA, no 2 teammates had ever achieved those numbers together in one night. Boston put up 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals and 1 block. Howard matched her with 11 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals.